Hello and welcome to That's So Nova. My name is Nova and this is my little YouTube channel where I like to make bag tutorials and just crafty stuff. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, hello. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial for the Bobby Sling from Serial Bag Maker. I just got this pattern and I am blown away on how creative and unique it is, and it comes together relatively fast and there's not a whole lot of pieces to it. I get asked a lot what bags are like my #1 sellers when I do craft shows and conventions, and usually totes are usually one of my best sellers, especially if they don't look like a tote that you can get in a store. I think this pattern is perfect for conventions. It's perfect for gifts. I see it for bridal parties. You know how you give the bridal shower, you have a bridal shower, you give also the bridesmaids and the maid of honor gifts. I can actually see it for a bachelor's gift too. With the right materials, it can look really feminine or really rugged or just really neutral. So I think this pattern has endless opportunities. I'm going to show you one that I made. Okay, so the Bobby Sling has a really sturdy base, and I opted to use her Anne's grommets, the forced grommets on this one, with rainbow cork. And when you open it, mine's is all nerdy Spock. It's Star Trek, but this bag has no stabilizers. It only has a woven fuse on the back of the lining, but there is only Pellon 71 on the bottom. And this is really cute. It's sturdy, but yet then pliable. And I feel like a lot of people will love this bag. And I'm really excited to share this with you. So with this bag, we're going to do a few modifications. If you look on this pattern, there's like 4 different bags that has the one I showed you where it has a grommet. It has one where if you don't want any hardware, you can rivet it in place. Then there's a really cute hinge and then just a strap connector. We're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to take it and have grommets that are 1 inch in the diameter inside. We're going to put a strap through there on both sides and have 2 straps and make it a little bit different. I love when you can take a bag and work out the modifications. So for this bag, the only thing I really changed, because we need to have the lining tucked in a little bit more and make sure we have a little bit more stability. Instead of us having the bag go 2 inches, the interior go 2 inches into the exterior, we're going to do 3 inches into the exterior by reducing the lining by 1 inch. So that's when you're pre-cut out. So I am using abandoned fabric from Tim Holtz, and you have your 2 pocket pieces, your lining, and there are instructions in case your lining is not a toss print or not a solid and it's directional. There's beautiful instructions to tell you how to do it, but this Tim Holtz one is a toss print, so the wording is everywhere. And I'm going to be using this soft color. It's called lychee. No, this one's clay. This color is a clay color cork, and we're gonna go from there. So let's get it started. The second thing we're gonna also do, not the second thing, but the other thing we're gonna do in the pattern, there's 1 strap, right? We're gonna be using 2. We're gonna be making it 2. So let's give it a go. So in the first, are hard. You should use cork, wax canvas, vinyl, upholstery thread, or quilting cotton. If you are using any of the bags using quilting cotton or even upholstery cotton, she does definitely recommend using Bouncyfirm 160 or Woven Fix. I use Woven Fix too. but Bouncyfirm is one of my favorite stabilizers. It's not a stabilizer I hear a lot of people putting in their bags, but it's actually quite genius. It's like if foam and fleece had a baby, that would be Bouncyfirm. So we have that, and she does have a great video that goes with it and breaks down each step. So we're gonna bring out, there's only 4 pattern pieces, A, B, C, and D, and they're both, all 4 of those are, I'm sorry, all 5 of those, no, was that right? Oh, yeah, all 4 of those are measurements. So, and then you're going to make 2 straps. Okay, so with your lining fabric, we're going to start preparing it. We need to find your centers of each of the fabric, which I did. And I'm going to highlight them again in case you can't see them in shop. You need to find the centers and then measure 1/4 of an inch away from the center on both sides. And just draw a line. I'm using just a regular Clover chalk pen. And then you're going to measure 1 5/8 of an inch up, and you're making a box. From there, you're going to be putting your interface. So what I did a little bit different on this one is on my original bag, I accidentally put the interfacing onto the exterior piece with glue. And I did the same thing. I'm using Peltex 71, but I wanted it to be a little bit more even sturdier because I love to experiment. So I'm using Bouncyfirm. And this, I love Bouncyfirm. So once we have that all squared away, we're going to you're going to iron your pockets, and you're going to, you're going to press them up 1/4 of an inch. And then you have your pockets are going to be 7.5 inches wide. And then for our exterior, we're going to do the same thing, which you see I have interfacing here. I had double-sided Peltex. So what happens is, I don't know how I got the double-sided one. I think I got it was on its sale, and I just have had this Peltex forever. So what I did is I used the Peltex, and then I took Woven Fuse and just placed it on top so that it did not stick to anything else or rub against it, because when you have the glue is really harsh if you do it. So I have the same thing, finding your centers, measuring out 1/4 of an inch on each line, away from each line, and then measuring in 1 5/8 of an inch. Okay, so we're going to be making our slip pocket. We're going to take one of our linings, and I always find my centers, I just make a little V, and then I'm going to make a snip here to find my center. It helps me tremendously. I don't know if it helps everybody else that way, but it definitely helps, because if I have a mark on this side and this side, it will literally, sometimes I can line them up right, but then I'm just sitting here like this over and over again. I'm going to pop a few clips in here, and we're going to stitch this on with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Please back stitch at the beginning of every seam. A few stitches, like 2 or 3. Okay. Trim off threads. Now we're going to do understitching. For people who make garments, you probably are going to understand understitching, but understitching is super important in some bag making too. And I was really excited to see that she incorporates that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our seam allowance and we're going to press everything towards the pocket. Now you can go to your iron and press it. I'm going to just finger press it. And I'm going to top stitch on the pocket at 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch is in between my my feet, so I'm just following that, and I'm going to back stitch a few stitches and come back. I am using a 9014 needle from Oregon. It's an Oregon needle, and I'm using Saba thread 40 weight, and it's in a neutral color. I think it's ivory. I have like a million of these. I love this color because I like a little bit of contrasting, but I like it to blend in. For some odd reason, that color just blends in with everything. All right. So we did our one, then we're going to grab our exterior and put a pocket there too. We're going to just move our lining away temporarily. So I'm going to find my center. Match up my little V's. All right. And we're going to sew this on with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance as well. Make sure you back stitch. Trimming our threads. Okay, and then I'm going to finger press because this is cork. And then we're going to top stitch. Hi, this is Future Novice coming to you. I made a mistake on a part of the bag right after we make the lining and we do the understitching to the pocket. We're going to be getting our exterior piece. On our exterior piece, we do not understitch. We just do right sides of the pocket to right sides of the exterior together, and we stitch our 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Press this forward, either finger press or with an iron, and we don't understitch like we did with the lining. I did make this mistake, but the bag still turned out amazing. Future me is telling you it's amazing. And I just wanted to reiterate so that way when you're reading the pattern and you're going along with me, you're not like, yeah, wait, what? Yes, so on page 5, step 10, we grab our exterior pieces. We put our exterior piece A, which is that long piece, and then we got one of the pocket pieces, and we match up the snips that I said in the beginning, and we sew our 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. After we sew it, we bring the pocket piece where we're going to see the right side of it, and we're not going to understitch. Now, if you do understitch like me, I don't know how it happened, but my stitching went on top of it, so I didn't notice 2 rows of stitching. It could happen though, where you just notice 2, because at the end we're going to top stitch everything, and if you don't want to have those 2 rows of stitching, then don't do it. If you do it, it's going to be fine too. The pattern is solid. The bag is amazing. Future me is telling you. If you have any questions for Future me, leave a comment. I'll be more than willing to help you. Okay, let's get back to the video. With a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, we're going to top stitch on our understitching. So make sure you're sewing on the pocket. I like to make sure I have a nice even top stitch. I like to position my hands and just have them wide and just kind of pull the fabric taut against each other and then top stitch. And you get these beautiful roll stitching. You're like, Shanova, why are we understitching? When you see it all come together, you're going to be like, she's a genius. Anne is a genius. All right, so why we have the exterior out in front of us, we are going to be positioning the bag almost 3 inches down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my center, and we're going to be putting a label in. And Anne has these really fantastic handmade labels. and we're going to install one. So what I'm going to do is I'm finding my center, I'm making a little bit mark, and I'm going to go, if I was doing the 2-inch, I would go up 1 inch, but I'm doing a 3 inch, so I'm going to go 1.5. And I'm grabbing one of these handmade labels. We're going to be using some pretty unique color hardware. Anne has her own versions of antique. There's like there's like the original one, there's an antique copper, and this antique brass. It's a little bit different from any antique brasses you've seen, and you can get rivets, hand tags, you can get pretty much everything, D-rings, sliders, everything in this, so you can make your bag complete and it'll look really, really, really nice. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make sure that the pocket is facing us, because when we turn in the exterior into the interior, this label, it's going to come down. So if you put the label not facing you, going the opposite direction, it will be backwards. So have it face towards the pocket. Make sure the pocket is right side out and it's towards you. And I'm going to grab my chalk pencil and I'm going to mark where these prongs are. And I'm going to take, I did have a pen. Okay, I'm going to take this little X-Acto knife and make a little slit. And do the same thing here. I'm going to place this on here and take it to the back. Okay, move the prongs down, and I'm going to take a little bit of this electric tape, and so that way it can help prevent it rubbing on each other. Let's see. Okay, we got that all squared away. Now we are going to take this pocket. We're dropping things already. We're going to take this pocket and we're going to match it up. I'm going to put a clip here. I'm going to match up the pockets. And we're going to make some marks. So I'm going to mark from the matching, sorry, I need to put a clip in here. From the matching pockets, I'm going to mark into the pocket seam 1/4 of an inch. I'm just using these cheap Westcott rulers that I get on Amazon. They're a lifesaver. So 1/4 of an inch into the pocket. Okay, while we're doing that, we're going to be sewing 3/8 of an inch, and we're going to back stitch, and then we're going to come up towards the pocket and only back stitch for 1/4 of the I can't talk. We're going to come into this, and so 3/8 of an inch, we're going to stop, back stitch where we made the 1/4 of an inch mark, and we're not going to sew where the pocket is, or we won't be able to put our hands in there. Then we're going to go from here where this 1/4 of an inch, start sewing, back stitch, do not go past the 1/4 of an inch, and continue on down and back stitch. So 3/8 of an inch is our seam allowance. I'm on a 3.5 stitch length. I'm to the 1/4 of an inch. Now I'm going to back stitch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my threads and just bring it on over to this other line and start and stop. Okay. We are going to trim threads. I'm going to trim the thread that goes across the pocket. Okay, so we will bring our pockets together, and we want to have this seam allowance right here. We're going to want this seam allowance open. So what I'm going to do, because this is cork, is I'm going to use Annie's wash away tape. This wash away tape is a light hold and it won't gum up your needles, but it will hold it in place. So it's perfect when you're trying to top stitch or just you're working with lighter materials and you want it to lay flat and you can't iron it. This is what you need. Okay. And I like to just rub where the tape is to make sure it adheres. And I'm gonna do the same on this side. See how it's staying down? It helps tremendously. Now, if I was doing this with like upholstery, I would have ironed it, but I really love cork, so. All right, so that's all stitched, that's all flattened down. And we are going to turn this around and we are going to top stitch put this pocket down. And we are going to stop. Make sure your pocket pieces are right here. And we're going to top stitch only on this exterior piece, 1/8 of an inch. We're not going into the pocket, only 1/8 of an inch. Because if you go on top, you'll close off the pocket. So don't do that. Because then you'll be like, I'm going to become one with a seam ripper. And we all know we love to hate our seam ripper. Okay. All right. Not dragging a million threads. All right. So we're on page 7 now. And we are going to open up our pocket and we're going to top stitch the fabric now. So open up the pocket. Make sure you have one piece of the pocket toward in the interior, one piece of pocket on the exterior. And I'm going to roll this up so it can not be in the way and I can go in my machine. I'm making sure that the pocket, see my pocket wanted to flip at the last minute. I would have been super mad. Okay, take your time. It's top stitching. Make sure you breathe and just make sure if you stop, you have the needle down. Okay, so we have our top stitching done. And we're going to then sew the pockets together using a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, let's get this pocket sewn. Back stitch well at the beginning and end. Oh, I'm going to be one with our seam ripper because we're not supposed to sew across. We're only supposed to go down. I apologize. See, that's what happens. Mistakes happen and it's okay. I like to pull the threads and then kind of snip as I go. It's kind of similar to the razor technique, which I just seen and I want to experiment with, but I'm also afraid of the little razor thingy. Really afraid of it. Because we're going to pull our pocket through, our bag through this pocket. So I'm going to remove these stitches. And I'm going to just quickly sew down 1/4 of an inch on both sides again. And back stitching at the beginning and end really well. I have to rethread my machine. It seems like whenever I make a mistake, my machine automatically wants to act up with the threading. It's pretty funny. Okay. All right. One-4 of an inch. Back stitch really well. Okay. We are going to bring the short raw edges together. We have our center points to match. I like to stick a clip in that. And we're going to make a huge loop right now. So we're going to make this so that's at 3/8 of an inch. Back stitch at the beginning of each end. Okay, trim down strings. You're supposed to press it open, so I'm going to take the double-sided tape. And do both ends real quick. And then when I'm just finger pressing it, you can use a seam roller too. Those things are amazing. I usually have like a bazillion of them around, but it is totally cool because you don't need it. You can use your finger. And I do know, I believe Anne also carries seam rollers in her shop, like a metal one. That's really cool. If I'm not mistaken, it has like a gold head and whatnot. Okay. We are going to top stitch down both ends at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So you're going to have to get squishy with your bag, but because it's a massive loop, you're going to be fine. 1/8 of an inch down each side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my needle in, pivot. I'm just going to hop down a few stitches, needle down again. I'm going to rotate the bag. All right. So from there, we're going to match up our seams. So I am matching up bottom to bottom. Okay, a line. So the bottom line with the bottom line are your centers, the centers. And then so what we're gonna do now, I did have I was hesitant. I was a little scared because I was like, what is she making me do? And then I was like, just trust the process. These designers know what they're doing. So the reason, making sure that they line up is really important. Hold on. Okay, seam to seam. I'm sorry. I almost had you do the wrong thing. We're lining seam to seam. That's why we need to read, Nova. And you already made one. Sometimes it happens. Side seam to side seam. And we are going to, what I did last time is I matched up the bottom lines to make sure everything was straight. Side seam. Matching up bottom seam so nothing shifts. You can use as many or as few clips. So we are matching up side seam to side seam, and this side, the lining side is going to be shorter than the exterior. And then I'm just putting a clip on each of the, I'm matching up the lines that we made for the bottom, just to make sure nothing shifts or moves. So we're going to go down this with we're gonna go down and stitch a straight line, back stitching really well at the beginning and with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. At the seam, I like to do a little bit, one more of extra back stitch. I don't know why. Anytime there's a seam, I always want to like reinforce it with an extra stitch. Make sure you have all the raw edges touching each other. And because I used Peltex, I'm just going to fold it because it wants to be like extra not moving. Okay, and let's do the same thing on this side. Three-eighths of an inch. And I'm just making sure these side seams match, and they do. The seams shift all the time. You just want to clip or pin so you can have the less shifting. And I'm sewing without thread right now on the top. Okay, I'm gonna rethread this. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to where the seam is and start sewing 3/8 of an inch back stitch. That's also why I backstitch every few stitches too, in case like my thread breaks, then I can just start where my last stitch was. Okay. So let me trim all these threads away. Okay, so now we're on page 19, and we are going to snip at a diagonal angle. There's not an exact measurement, so you're gonna just, I'm holding it flat and I'm gonna just snip a little triangle. Okay, so from here, I'm going to flatten out where it's a V. Oh, before we flatten out like a V, I'm sorry, we need to make these seams flat. Don't jump over the steps, Shinova. Taking the double-sided tape, the wash away one, so if you use it, it won't mess up with any top stitching that we're gonna do later. It doesn't go up your needles. It's pretty nice. I'm just finger pressing. Trying to get it as flat as possible. You can use glue too. And the metal seam rollers, they seem to just help flatten it out as well. Okay, we're going to press that down. It wants to stick to the table too. Take your time, there's no rush. On this side where I have the seams down, I'm going to flatten out and where we made the lines. The reason why the lines are so important because that's where we're going to sew. Back stitch off. And we're gonna trim this down. Just trim it down to 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. That's why cutting the triangles, I was like, why are we not measuring? And that's the reason why, because the lines that we made on each one of the bags is our seam allowance that we're going to sew on. So it doesn't matter what you're sewing the triangle, how much you cut out the triangle, it just 1/4 of an inch. And we're going to put some double-sided tape on this side. We're going to repeat what we just did, and then we're going to birth this bag. We're almost done. We have some straps to make, and then installing some force fit rectangular grommets. And I'm kind of excited because I love the circular grommet, so I know I'm going to love this rectangle one because it's a really unique, upscale, classy, kind of very chic look. I also really like this bag because, again, like I said, I can see this definitely for bridesmaids or groomsmen. There's no zipper, but it carries everything that you need, and it's in a very simplistic way. No extreme hardware needed. Just well, I'm using grommets, but you can just rivet the handles in. There's a lot of different ways. I like minimal hardware bags that look and have a great function. Okay. And I'm going to finger press. Okay. Okay. So we're going to sew the bottom of this bag. I just like pull the fabric on either side, on both sides, and that way I can get the perfect little V. And I'm going to do it on this side. We're going to then we're gonna birth this bag real quick. We're gonna open it up the pocket. I like to grab one corner and we're just gonna turn, because there's no really stabilizer in here except the woven fuse and the Peltex at the very bottom and the Bouncyfirm at the very bottom. It's an easy birth because it's only one real stabilizer in here. I just like socked myself in the chest. It was awesome. I'm just going to stick my hand in and pull out the corners. You could use a bone finger, a chopstick, whatever, you know, works for you. And then I'm just going to not cut out these extra strings. I'm just going to take the inside of the lining and poke those corners out real quick. And the reason why the interfacing goes on the lining piece is because of this. It helps it not have a saggy bottom, and there's a firm stabilizer in it. Now I'm going to stick we're going to stick the lining inside. We're just pushing the lining all the way down to the bottom. And we're going to measure, make sure this is measured down 3 inches down. We're at 2.5, so I just gotta make sure it really touches the bottom. It's just cute. Okay. All right, when you have it, I'm just going to pop a couple of clips in place while we sew up the pocket lining to make sure it's closed off. So the pocket lining's out, so I'm just going to pop a few clips in. So we're going to sew the pocket lining. And then I'm just going to sew it at 1/4 of it, not 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. Okay, pushing the pocket inside. This is the pocket in, pushing down those little corners. So far what we have, if you, let me see, if you can see, we pushed down the interior to go 3 inches in. You see my cute little label there as my thing. So it says piece unique, and then we have our lining. This is a really beautiful bag. We're about to do some cool stuff. We are going to place some grommets on our bag. I'm going to bring out a couple of things. I don't know why I had to make that difficult when I could have just opened it. I'm so used to like tearing everything that like Hulk smashing everything. Like, it's bad. Okay. I know it's bad. I said it was bad. Okay. So I'm going to see where I want to have, I want the straps to be not that far apart. Let's see. I'm thinking, we need to top stitch first, but I'm thinking one and a half inches down and 2 inches in. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to top stitch first. Now there's a couple ways you could top stitch. You could turn the bag inside out, and then you can see this, you can see the outside. Or if your tension's really good on your thread, on your bobbin, and the bobbin color matches, you could just truss that. Or you can do where it's like a tent and you're going all the way around. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I truss my tension because I did check it before I started sewing, and I'm just going to pop a couple clips in so the bag doesn't magically shift when I am top stitching, because that can happen. So just a few clips. I like to start in a corner. I like to increase my stitch length to a 4. It's 1/8 of an inch. I just do a few back stitches. And I'm just letting my foot be the guide. And if you have to stop with the needle down. And you're not sewing through a whole lot. I did use, like I said, I used Woven Fix 2 on my interior because I knew we were going to make some grommets. So I wanted a little bit more stabilization just to help. So we have it's top stitched. Okay, we're going to make some marks. I had a chalk pen, there we go. So we're going from the seam, the side seam, I'm going to go 2 inches in and 1.5 inches down. And you could play with this. You don't have to use my method for putting this in. You can follow the mini methods that Anne has on her pattern. She was the one that recommended for the grommets. So she had like a cool idea, and I was like, oh yeah, that would be awesome. I want to do it. Okay, so what I sometimes do is when I'm doing a piece like this, I will bring the piece that's going to be the head of the front and draw like a T shape, so I know this is where the placement needs to be, not higher, not lower, not in the middle. That's just how I like to and let me make this mark. Okay. The next thing I do is I'll get like a silver pen, a tandy leather pen, and I will take, there's a male and a female. The female is a wider opening than the male. So what I like to do is I take the female part and I put where I lined up my little T, and I like to draw inside the box where I need to cut. The reason why I use a tandy pen is in case the placement's off, then I can just use water to, and my chalk pen doesn't really go in there. Okay. Let me draw it on this side. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to be using, it's a knife punch that Anne carries in her shop. And where's my mallet? Okay. So what I'm going to do is this, normally I would tell you to do this on a concrete floor. And if you use it on a table, you can use a rubber mat and it's still plate underneath it. It helps with the punching, which I'm going to line up the marks that I made. I'm just showing away, because the reason why I told you to use a still plate is because, or on the concrete, is because of the simple fact that this table bounces off vibrations. Or I'm gonna have my husband grab it. My pink press, you can use a flat press also. The pink grommet press. The pink grommet press. So what we'll do is we're gonna stick, you can put a little bit of glue down. And I'm going to grab piece of scrap and you're just going to gently you hear everything banging around me. You can do this on a metal on the concrete floor. And I put a piece of fabric over it so it doesn't scratch the hardware. But we have one. So if you have a press like this, what you can do is make sure you have this part folded away, the bottom, so you're not like accidentally cutting into it, because all your beautiful work now, it would be hard and devastating. And I will cry with you.
No tears.
Tears, because if you press the wrong side, totally tears. You can take the press, and if you have a press, then you can just cut it out. And if it doesn't cut out right away, then I want to make sure I have everything lined up. Okay. And I'm just going to press these other ones while I am here, so we could whack some grommets together. And do this last one. Now you could put, I like to put a little glue or fray check on it too. See, that press just helps tremendously. Then you're not banging everything. You can actually force the press to take in the grommets too, but I'm not gonna lie, I like whacking. It's fun. Putting these together. I'm going to take this. I did have a piece of fabric by me, and then it disappeared. Just use this. Do not whack your fingers. Ask me how I know. Okay. And I think it works tremendously better when you have it on the concrete, because like I said, it bounces off. When I'm going to do a tutorial on the square grommets, and I'm going to probably do it on the concrete floor. Okay. 2 more to go. My neighbors are probably like, what is she doing? Nothing, I promise you. Okay, we'll do, when I come back, I'll have the other 2 installed. Okay, so once you installed all your grommets, like we have here, we are going to trim threads first, because apparently threads just want to keep poking out. Move everything aside. So your mallet, Sarah Bagmaker does carry mallets, and she carries cutting boards. And then what I get is I use a metal, this is super heavy too, it's like a metal, just a metal square and a rubber mat, and then I put the rubber mat on the concrete, put this on top like it's an anvil, and then I hammer away. So I'm gonna put these on the side. So we have all 4 grommets. We're gonna need straps. And I'm using the strap measurements that she recommends in the recommended size, which I believe it was 48. You can make that wider or smaller depending on your preference of the drop length is. Let me put this aside, grab some double-sided tape. And then we're almost done. As soon as we install these awesome handle straps, we're gonna be like almost done. If your needle gums up, use definitely the wash away tape. It has a nice hold, light, but it's nice, and it doesn't gum up the needle. If your machine can handle the materials, then use whatever tape, leather tape. I have clipped mine's all the way down with Wonder Clips. I have used glue. I try different methods all the time. So you never know, you can find something new that works for you. I drew this is a 1-inch strap. I drew a 2-inch line going down. I am pressing one edge in, and then I'm going to leave a 1/8 of an inch gap when I fold in the strap. So that way when I fold it in, it won't like overlap and have like a weird bubble thingy. Okay. You could put some clips when you fold it in half to make sure it doesn't roll. And then I'm going to sew a 1/2 inch, not 1/2 inch, 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I'm going to back stitch. I'm just following the edge of my presser foot. This is a really fun time to try contrasting threads to see if you want an extra feature of it popping. Threads popping out. I like thread. I think it's like, especially contrasting thread, I don't know, it just makes the bag look so unique. Something else that catches your eye too. And we're gonna back stitch, and I'm going to trim my threads, go to the top of this, trim this thread, and then I am going to sew in the same direction as I did last time, so my thread doesn't get, my strap doesn't get all twisted, and back stitch. I'm just following that 1/8 of an inch. The zipper foot is really, I like to use zipper foots for straps because you can do it this way in case your straps get all twisty. You can have the same measurement. Okay, so you can add strap ends at this point, or when you after you put it through the bag. If you don't have strap ends, you could do what I'm doing right now. I have a 1-inch square, just a 1-inch square from the scraps, and I'm folding this over the raw edges to give it a real finished look. And I'm just going to sew this on. This part's the thickest part, but it works out. And then I'm going to grab the other square. I have some double-sided tape on it, and I just wrap it around, and it just conceals the edges. You could put, because I'm using cork, you can use leather I can't think of it. Oh my gosh, I use it all the time. Edge painting, and Anne does have edge painting in her shop too. To do that, that's another way to finish it. Or if you have, there's fabric markers. There are specific markers for fabric that are permanent. You can use that. There's a lot of things you can do. We're going to stick a strap in, and I want to first measure. I want to measure where I want my strap to meet, so that way I can have it even. Just going to use my silver mark. I'm going to stick this back out. And what I'm going to do is put strap to strap. And get a ruler real quick. This is 4.5 inches up, and I'm just going to draw the 4.5 inches on each strap so it's even. And I made a second strap right here. Making a silver mark, 4.5 inches up. I don't try to eyeball when I'm putting in straps, because an uneven strap it will drive me mad until I correct it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread my handle through the grommet, have the end meet right underneath that 4.5 inch mark, and then I'm just going to stick a clip in it real quick and do that for the same on the other side. Stick a clip. Stick a clip. Oh, I like her modification. Oh, this is beautiful. Very unique. I want to give these away as gifts now. So we have, this is super cute. We have this part. We're going to now put a punch, a hole punch and I'm going to work this from the inside. I'm going to put a hole punch 1 inch down from the back tab and a 1/2 inch in, because it is, let's stick this clip back on afterwards. It is a 1 inch strap. 1 inch down, 1/2 inch in. And yes, I'm that person that marks, because every time I could eyeball for like putting two raw edges together, but I am horrible at eyeballing for rivets. I have no idea. It's just not a strong suit. We all have weaknesses. That is definitely mine. And I'm always jealous when people can just do it. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to do some hole punching, and I'm going to use these amazing rivets that are the same color as the hardware. I mean, the nameplate, and yeah, and the hardware. So let's punch these holes. I usually leave the clips in too, so that way the bag doesn't shift. So I'm going not below where I drew the halfway inch in. I'm going right above the silver mark. We have one more to go. Okay, so I'm going to use some of the, pull out 4 rivets. And then our caps. So I'm going to put the male in, the female part of the cap, push it in. I like to set them all at the same time because if I do one at a time, I will forget. And these are the perfect width. They're flush. If your post is going all the way through and you could see it like over, you know, 1/8 of an inch or more, if it's not flush, it could be set wrong and the rivet could pop. Okay, and we're going to set these rivets and we are going to be done. I'm going to bring my rivet press, which I got from Minkus and Margot on Etsy. Gentle press. You don't have to put all your weight on it, or you can actually crush the rivet. I feel like it goes down once hard and once soft. So once I feel like 2 small clicks of pressure, then I know it's set. Okay, we are done. This is an amazing bag. Look, this is so awesome. We have grommets. We have a nice drop that could go down. Again, this is customizable. If you have customers that are petite or someone that's fluffy and plus size like me, you can do different drops and different straps. So it could be very customizable. It has a nice slip pocket. You have a beautiful interior pocket. I love this piece of unique. Handmade symbol. You could put even a woven symbol in at that time too. So it could just poke out and you have this cute bag. I really, really love this. It's just such a fun and easy bag. Like, it gives a total new spin on it. So if you have any questions in reference to the Bobby Sling, please leave a comment down below and I'll be more than willing to assist. I'm going to put Anne's Shop Cereal Bag Maker in the description. I use the Bouncyfirm, and for the stabilizer I use her washable removable DST. I used her grommets, I used her rivets, her unique piece handmade plate, which I love that because I love little details that can make a pop. And this really unusual color, and I'm really loving it. I will put down, there's a couple cork suppliers that I use, Cork, Line, there's a few, and I'll put down information if you are interested in cork, where you can purchase that. The interior fabric is the Abandoned collection from Tim Holtz, the first one, not the second one. And that's it. You have this beautiful tote, nice hard bottom, and you're ready to go. So if you can like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and make a comment, it helps your girl out, and I really appreciate you. Until the next time I see you, happy sewing. Bye.